Welcome to the Superintendent's Hangout, where we discuss topics in education, charter schools, life in general, and not necessarily in that order. I'm your host, Dr. Sharetta. Come on in and hang out. In this episode, I sat down with Estephanie Bencomo. I first learned of Estephanie's story in an article she wrote in the San Diego Union Tribune. And the article gave a snapshot of her life, having been born in the LA area, but then moving to Tijuana as an infant, and then her experience as a trans-border student as she worked her way through elementary school in Tijuana, and then middle school in the U.S., and then high school in the U.S., and then to graduate from San Diego State University with a double major in English and Spanish. It's a very inspiring story. Estephanie is humble and shares some insight as to the experience that thousands of students go through every day living on the U.S.-Mexico border. I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I did recording it. Welcome, Estephanie. Thank you for coming to hang out with us for a little bit today. I was wondering if you could start out by sharing with our listeners your origin story, where you're from, what your background is, and what brings you to the present moment.
Well, thank you for having me. So my name is Stephanie. I was born in Montebello, California, which is like some near in LA. But at the age when I was 4 months, all my family moved to Tijuana, which is where I was raised almost my whole life. I studied there in Mexico. I studied in kindergarten, elementary school, middle school. And when I was going to start high school is when I moved to San Diego with my dad, because both of us are the only ones who with American citizenship. And the reason why we have this decision about me starting school in United States was because they want me to have better opportunities, and because I was born here, they told me that it was my right to have those opportunities and have like a better education and just overall having opportunities. I didn't know how this education system work here in San Diego.
Because I bet it was very different from what you'd been used to in Tijuana, correct?
Yes, it was very different. Like it was, the level distribution was, it's kind of like, it was different because in Mexico, it's usually like you start elementary at first grade and then you ended up at sixth grade. While here in the U.S., you start at first grade and then you ended up at fifth grade. But still, it's still in both countries, you have to complete the 12 years of education just to move on college. But the distribution of those levels it's kind of different. So, that wasn't really like that shocking for me, like some difficult to understand. What was so really difficult for me was when my credits from my Mexican education was transferred here to the U.S. because they told me you lack of a lot of credits. We have to put you on 9th grade level when I have to be on junior level, like 11th grade. And I was like, no, what do you mean by that? Like, you mean I have to repeat again?
Oh, they put you back to 9th?
Yeah. So when I started high school, I was starting 11th grade, but they told me, but because they saw my credits and everything, my report card and everything, they told me, you lack of some credits from some subjects, from some courses, so we have to put you on 9th grade.
Wow.
For now, they told me.
For now. Temporary 9th grade status.
Yeah, if you can prove that you have more credits, if you can bring other report cards, they told me specific years, education years, if you bring those to us, then maybe we can move you to your actual grade. So yeah, so I think for 2 weeks or for 3 weeks, I was in a ninth grade level. It was too funny. I mean, it was too funny because I was like, I was like almost 17 years old with 13, 14 years. But it was nice because they some of my classmates saw me as like a big sister and everything, and yeah, and also my English. I mean, my English is not it's average.
It's excellent.
Well, thank you. But back then it wasn't that really good. Like I did have like knowledge on English. Like I didn't know how to talk, and I did know. I mean, I did understand it and everything, but the only issue or struggle that I had was that it wasn't conversational. Like it didn't have like that conversational skill.
Right.
So that skill I did develop during my high school years. But yeah, but back then when I started school, I didn't know really how to talk with my teachers and like how hard to talk with my classmates. So I was like a bit nervous in that aspect. But so yeah, so I was a bit nervous about that language. I would say maybe like language barrier, but I guess something that it kind of put me more courage, or something that really helped me is that I had in the same classes that I was during my ninth grade. Well, I was during my temporary ninth grade was there were classmates that were also new to the system, and
from Tijuana, or from all over.
Yeah, some of them. Some of them were from Mexico. Not from Tijuana, but some other places from Mexico,
Right.
Southern Mexican. There were others that came from Guatemala or from El Salvador.
Right.
And those kids, they didn't know nothing about English.
Right.
So they understand English a little bit, like the basic stuff from English, but they didn't know nothing. So because I saw them like struggling in the assignments and everything, I said, well, I'm here in this class with the ninth graders and everything. I might help them, to break that barrier between them and the teachers. Because yes, I mean, in my high school, which was currently high school, we had incredible teachers. We had really supportive teachers. But the only disadvantage that those teachers have was that they were monolingual.
Right.
They didn't know they only know English. So some methods that they use to try to break the language barrier between those English learners and the teachers. Some of the stuff they did was to, with assignments, they did translate it in Google Translate, which I mean sometimes when you translate stuff in Google Translate,
gets a little strange.
It's strange or not. It's not accurate. But they try, and that's something that I do appreciate, because I know there's to be real, I know there's some school staff or some teachers that they really force students to speak English. They really force them instead of helping them to try to find a way to how to break the barrier first, instead of force them to speak English or speak English, and that doesn't really work. And I mean, if I was a teacher,
which you may be someday,
I mean, something that I will do for non-English speakers, or English learners, is first to make them feel comfortable in class, and try to, break that barrier. I mean, the advantage that I have is that I can speak Spanish. So I know that I can help students that speak Spanish, but for other students who may speak another language, like maybe Vietnamese, Chinese, Tagalog, or French, or any other language, what I would do for them, it's also to try, to break that language barrier, to also, like, um, to find ways to how to use their primary language in our class.
Right.
To make them feel comfortable, and just to, like, to tell them, like, it's okay that you speak your language. Like, I want you to learn English, but I also want you to keep your primary language.
And be proud of it.
And be proud of it, because your language is part of your culture. You're part of your identity. And now that with all this globalization, and how, like, we are so, how everything it's kind of connected now. Sometimes to be bilingual, they give you, like, a lot of opportunities in life, and mostly in, like, job opportunities. And some people, sometimes they don't have that concept, or they don't know that being bilingual now, it's really important. And to have, like, that skill, it's like having, like, privilege, and I'm saying this because, I know back then, few decades ago, they were like, to be bilingual or to try to keep two languages was like a really rare or, like, weird concept for students. And like, there were students that have to go through this process of assimilation, which that is painful. It is painful in some ways, because they try to raise your identity and your culture, and mostly your language. And and in my school, I mentioned that I really have great teachers, that they didn't force students to go through that process of assimilation. But there were, like, a few school stuff that have that kind of mindset to, like, force students to speak English. Like, if they saw some students speaking in their native language, they will go and say, hey, speak English.
You mean with each other, with friends?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, even I have friends who were who Spanish is their first language. They will sometimes speak Spanish with with school staff, because in some of the school staff, they knew Spanish.
Sure.
And so, yeah, sometimes like me and my friends were, like, talking in Spanish, like, with some of the school staff, like the secretary or, like, the school clerk, and having, like, those casual conversations about, oh, what do you do in the weekend, yeah. Or, oh, like, there's, like, an event in Tijuana, those kind of casual conversations. And then other school staff will come and say, hey, speak English. Or if you want to, like, ask something to those bilingual assistants or people part of the school staff, they will come and say, hey, try to say it on English. And, like, I know what was, like, the intention, like, they wanted us to, like, to learn vocabulary, but the tone or the way they said it was a bit rude. And honestly, to have those a type of, like, approach, to approach someone and tell them to, like, hey, speak English, or like, not a very good manner, that it's not helpful. No. That's not helpful. And like, kids, like, it's middle school and high school, they go through this, like, rebel era and everything. So I remember, like, when my friends, when those, like, people will tell that to my friends, they did feel bad. But at the same time, they were like, no, we're not going to do it. They were, they have, like, this, like, rebel spirit, like, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna speak in our native language, and I mean, it's like that's something that some teachers and some schools need to like, try to think about how to approach students about to learn English, because like we get it, and like me as like someone that wants continue, having a career in education, like I do understand that it is important for kids who are not English speakers, who are like learners. I know that it's important for them, to learn that language here. But like I say, I mean, it's also important to, to maintain, to know, just to. I would say like it is important for a teacher. It's important for a kid to learn English, but also it should be important to try, that those students maintain their languages.
Yeah, it's because it's part of the identity. It's not just the language.
Yes.
So the article that I read, or I guess it was an article that you wrote, right, in the Union Tribune. That's how I first heard about you and was inspired by your story. You mentioned a little bit about what it was like to be a student crossing the border every day from Tijuana to San Diego. Could you kind of walk us through what a day looked like when you were in high school after your family had moved back to Tijuana from San Diego? I think because the rents were just ridiculous. They're still ridiculous.
Yeah.
They get more ridiculous every day.
Yeah.
So you moved back to Tijuana, and then you were in Kearney High School, which for listeners who don't know, it's not right next to the border either. It's a good, half hour or more from the border?
An hour and a half, I would say.
Oh, so your total trip was an hour and a half from your house in Tijuana to get to school?
No, actually, from my home to my school, it was like 2 hours.
Okay, walk us through what your average day looked like.
Yeah, so it is supposed like if school starts at 8:45 a.m. in the morning. So I used to wake up at 3:30 a.m. or 4 a.m. depending of if I want to know like how much I want to like to dress up, if I do my makeup or everything. That was like dependent. So so mostly of the time I used to wake up at 3:30 a.m. or 4 a.m. in the morning. I wake up, wash my face, and then
lots of coffee.
Lots of coffee. Lots of coffee, yeah. Actually, about that, I haven't. I actually, because of that routine of mine, I got a coffee addiction.
A coffee addiction.
It's not good.
No.
But it tastes good.
I have one too, so.
Yeah, I mean, now I'm trying to control that, but before it was crazy. It was so crazy. But yeah, so I used to like wake up, maybe do some like light breakfast, like, eating cereal or make my cup of coffee, do my hair, fix, dress up and everything. So I would say I was ready at 4:30 a.m. or 5 a.m. depending on what time I wake up. So yeah, so it took me like an hour to to get ready for school. Then my mom will wake up like 10 minutes before leaving because my mom, she can I mean, she doesn't have to like get ready and everything.
Right.
So my mom, she will wake up maybe 20 or 10 minutes before leaving the house. She will go just like to dress up like something casual, just in case if something happened during our trip. So yeah, so we go out from home at maybe 5 a.m. in the morning, and from my home to the border was like a 17-20 minute trip, depending if there was traffic or not, because believe it or not, early
lots of people wanting to cross.
There's a lot of people crossing the border. Like there's a lot of people crossing in a car, like because maybe some of them are students or some of them go to work and everything. But in my experience, I actually crossed the border walking always, because I don't drive. I can drive, so it was always walking. I always cross the border walking in the pedestrian entries, and it was I think it was way better than crossing in a car, because sometimes it can be more quickly than crossing in a car, and also I would say you spend a lot of money, because I know like you spend a lot of money in gas.
Yes.
And to having like a long trip, that maybe 2 to 4 hours trip, because if you're crossing in car, sometimes the wait could be from 2 to 5 hours. So, and I know like when you wait in line to cross, you also like spend the gas there. You like
Sure.
use a lot of gas. So, I mean, like returning back, I did walk a lot. So yeah, I went out of the house. I go out of the house at 5 a.m. It was a 17 or 20-minute trip from the house to the border. Then I go to the border. And okay, so the interesting part about the border, so there's 2 entries in Tijuana. There's the San Isidro entry, which is the east side entry, and then you have the west entry, which it's called Chaparral. We call it like that, Chaparral. So back then, before the pandemic, I used to cross in Chaparral because it was way faster than San Isidro. So to wait there in the Chaparral, I used to do like a 30-minute wait. Sometimes I will do like an hour or 2 hours, but that was if something happened inside the facility. If they had like
Emergency,
some trouble with another person that was trying to cross.
Right.
But my wait time to cross the border in that entry, the Chaparral entry, was from 30 minutes to 2 hours. So that was like my wait line, and I will cross the border, and then be at the other side, which is here at maybe 6 or 6:30 a.m. in the morning. So now 6 a.m. Well, let's say that I'm now in the other side at 6 a.m. in the morning, or 10 a.m. Then after that I will walk to the trolley station, or maybe grab a bus to go to the trolley station, because it was in the kind of in the other side from where I crossed. I grabbed the trolley maybe at 6:20 a.m. and then from the San Isidro station to Old Town station, I have to grab 2 trolleys. So that trip from San Isidro station to Old Town, I think it was like maybe 40 minutes. I think it was like 40 minutes long. So in Old Town, so I get off in Old Town. I get off like 7:20 or 7:30 a.m. in the morning in Old Town. And then from Old Town, I will grab a bus, which was the 44 route bus, that it took me to Kearney, right in front of Kearney. So so that was like my routine and everything. And probably I got the time lapses wrong in my routine, but most of the time I will arrive to Kearney at 7:30 a.m. So that was the most early that I will arrive at Kearney, 7:30 a.m. And the most and the latest time, it could be like 10 minutes before school starts, like 8:30 something. But yeah.
So what advice would you give schools and school administrators, principals, and teachers who very likely have students, at least here in the border region? It doesn't have to just be in California, right? There's Arizona, there's Texas, et cetera, that have students who cross every day. What advice would you give those teachers to help to support students like you? Because in your article, you talk about certain teachers who
Yes.
let you, I don't know, I can't remember if they let you in their classroom early or they would let you have a quiet place. They knew how long your journey had been. Can you talk to us a little bit about
Yeah.
what the advice would be?
So the advice for the teachers will be, so I think the most important is to learn about your students, learn about their stories, learn about their routine and everything. Or, I mean, of course, if the student allows to share, because there's sometimes, because I know like being a transfer student, we have like this is like an identity, but sometimes because we have this identity, it has the reason some of us have this identity to be a transfer student. It could be for some reasons that could be sensitive topics.
Right.
So I mean, like I said, I mean I think it's important to learn your students to learn about their backgrounds, history. Of course, if they allow you to tell you, but it's like, but yeah, I mean, I think that's important, talk with your students and everything. The other advices that I could give, and it would be, if you are allowed to be in your classroom, before it starts, like if they allow you to, be in your classroom like 2 hours early from the time that school starts, you can use those hours to help those students
With doing homework or take a nap.
Taking a nap, or maybe like their breakfast. I mean taking that's my experience, and like I shared in my article, I have teachers that they truly support me during this time in high school. Especially the ones that I mentioned was Mr. Armijo, Sean Armijo, and Miss Joan Johnson, which it's we call her Miss JJ.
And these were at Kearney.
Yeah.
Okay. Shout out to Miss JJ. Who was the other one?
Miss JJ, Mr. Armijo, and Mr. Sigo too.
Mr. Sigo, I see in the notes here too. Yeah.
So yeah, and I mean in my experience and the way they learn about me being a transverse student is because I don't remember how like the conversation starts, but I did talk about it, like because my teachers they truly care about their students, and they were so nice, and they were always willing to know them more. Like it doesn't matter what facts or what would you like to share to them, like, or you do sports or you like to do art or everything. They are really interested to learn about that. And so I think I remember with Miss JJ, I know that Miss JJ before being in her class, she has this she always opens her classroom after school. She opens it I think for an hour, 2 hours after school, just for everyone. They want to come to, to do homework, or if they need tutor hours, or if they have a project to do in her class and they want to their team to meet. That was the perfect spot. So with Miss JJ, she always had the classroom open for everyone before I was her student. But then when she learned about my situation of being a transverse student and everything, she adapt a lot of stuff in her classroom, and also not in her curriculum, but in the way she treat her students. Not drastically, but now she used to open her classroom before school starts, because of me. I mean, I'm not saying oh, I'm special and everything, but yeah, but that was those kind of actions that it make me feel that I really appreciate about my teachers. And I remember say, Stephanie, if you one day you came so early, my my classroom will be open, for you if you want to like come to eat breakfast or do your homework, because sometimes with this really busy routine and this schedule, sometimes you don't have time to finish your homework
Sure.
at home. Sometimes you have to, finish up before school. And that was my situation. And Miss JJ, she gave me this space to, to finish the homework. And also she also used to provide snacks. You had have snacks for, just in case if someone of us needed, before school or after school, because believe it or not, sometimes you don't even have time to have breakfast in the morning just because of this routine, this schedule. So for me, sometimes I didn't have breakfast in the morning. I just go up and get ready without my cup of coffee. I mean, that was like something that I prioritized more than having breakfast. But yeah, so I didn't have to have breakfast. And with Miss JJ, she have those snacks. I have she has granola bars, or she has cereals and everything, which was really, really helpful, not only for me, but for any student who will come to her classroom really early in the morning, and who will also stay after school. So yeah, that will be an advice for those teachers. Like, if you have this perk, or you have this opportunity to have your classroom available before school and after school, try to use those hours, because those hours will be really, really helpful for
students.
For students, not only for transfer students, but for everyone. Like, those students could be really, really helpful, and really, and I think that will also, and it could change a lot for students, because I think with students, I don't know if that it's for any student, but for me to see that kind of support from my teachers, and more because being a transfer student is not sometimes it's not really good looking, or it's not, or it has, or sometimes it's not good to talk about it,
Right.
because it has their consequences to be a transfer student. But to have teachers that really sees your motivation to come to school every day, those teachers that see that, as for a student, to see that kind of support, to see those teachers appreciate your effort, your hard work to continue to go to school, it's really helpful for them. And that really fuels their motivation to keep going to school, and maybe to enroll to university later. And so for me, to have Miss JJ doing those kind of actions, and about having her classroom available for me and for other students. And also another action that she did for me was because there was a time that I have her in my first period, and rarely there were times that I will going late to school because because something happened at the border.
Something you can't control.
Yeah, and I remember what she used to do. It was she used to instead of me, because sometimes when you go late, you have to go directly to the office to report that you got late, instead of going to your classroom. But with Miss JJ, she didn't have that trouble. She used to do attendance before finishing her class. So instead of doing attendance before starting her class, really early, she would do attendance before finishing the class. So so they also give me the opportunity, if I go late, not going to the office, but go straight to the class, and to not have any tardy mark in my
on your record.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you make friends with other transborder students?
I didn't. To be honest, I didn't because in my school it was. I think there wasn't. I knew about some students that they were also transborder, but they weren't in my class.
Okay.
So I couldn't have like that opportunity. They were in my class and nor in my grade level. So I didn't have that opportunity to make friends with them. So pretty much in this journey from high school and middle and community college, I was alone.
Wow.
I will say.
Did you face discrimination at any point? Let's say either criticism from people who said, "Oh, you shouldn't be going to school in the United States because you don't live here," or did you have any border guards or officials or immigration officials ever criticize you or wonder why you were crossing every day? Because before you mentioned that transborder students, sometimes society looks down on this whole phenomena of being a transborder student. Did you face some of that?
In my experience, I didn't. I fortunately have people that they did support me in this journey of being a transborder student. They encouraged me to continue, to school, or they will like compliment me. I would say, "Oh my God, Stephanie, you are so inspiring." Like, I hope I have the same motivation as you and everything. I think the only thing like kind of closest to discrimination, I wouldn't say discrimination, but they were like people that would told me like, "Hey, be careful, don't say anything," to kind of like feeding that fear that I have about being caught about being a transfer student. I think that was like the only like negative aspect though, like people like reminded you like, "Hey," which I mean, I know where those comments came from. Like I know like some of them like came from for like a good place and everything, but like to see people like reminded you every day like, "Hey, be careful," or don't say anything, or that it was a bit scary. And sometimes those comments that doesn't really help, because those comments, like I said, they feed your fear, and with that fear that they make you speechless, that
they silence
you, and that makes you like not talk about it with teachers, and and sometimes you feel like unsupportive. You can feel unsupportive if you can't talk about it because of this aspect about. But I mean, and I know like I heard like interviews, and I read articles about transfer students not only from Tijuana but also from Mexicali that goes to Calexico,
right,
or from Texas, and some of those students, they talk about that. I mean, those students, they talk about how they are scared to be caught about being a transfer student, so they don't speak about it. And because they don't speak about it, or they don't share about that to their teachers or to anybody, they have like this confidence like to talk about it. That kind of like affects them in their education.
right.
Like sometimes they don't feel like encouraged to continue, or sometimes they feel so tired, but they have to like try to still walk or to still wake up. But and then sometimes the teachers, they see like their tiredness, and sometimes they like grounded them, or like or call their attention and everything, and they can't say anything. They can say, "Well, if I'm tired, it's because of this, because I had to wake up." They can say that because of the same thing. They have this fear to be caught up.
I know we have had students here at Einstein, and we have elementary and middle, And I remember there's a Starbucks near our elementary campus, and every morning for a long time, I'd see students, because our schools have uniforms, and I'd see students sitting out on the tables at Starbucks early in the morning, because Starbucks opens at, 4:30.
Yes.
So I would drive by early, like an hour before school opened, and you'd see the students out there asleep at the tables because their mom or dad brought them. They crossed the border. They brought them there. They dropped them, and then they went off to work.
Yeah.
And then the kids would just walk to campus early, and I'm sure they were tired, right? If I or any of our teachers had to get up at 3:30 or 4 in the morning to get ready to go to work at 8:45, we'd be tired too by 10 in the morning. By lunchtime, we got to take a nap.
Yes.
So especially young people need even more sleep. So I think that's important that our educators know that.
Yeah. And also talking about sleep, I mean, I think another advice that it's related about, having students having a good sleep, it's try to, talk about mental health too. That's really important because most of the students who are transborders like me, we suffer from sleep deprivation. That's one of the consequences, to wake up early every day. It's like having this problem of sleep deprivation, and we having sleep deprivation that also can generate anxiety, depression, or any type of mental disorder. I mean, if to be more personal, I do suffer from sleep deprivation, and because of that sleep deprivation, that my anxiety problem, which I had since I was in kindergarten, it kind of like grew so much.
Right.
So now, like, I'm trying to going to therapists, with a therapist, to talk about it, and taking pills, to try to like regulate that problem of mine. But saying this, I think that's really important. If teachers can, have events or maybe have like workshops about mental health, like having these spaces for those students, to talk about, anything like if they feel like, their schedule, their routine, it's affecting them mentally, they have, to have, to give them this space, to talk about it. I feel in this way, or maybe teachers can guide it to, with resources like, oh, you feel in this way, well, we can, I recommend you to do this, or blah blah blah, or maybe I cannot help you a lot, but I can give you resources to where to find help. So I think that also really a good advice for teachers, to also prioritize the mental health, not only for transport students, but
for all students.
All students too. I think that was really helpful because back then when I was in high school, I had my teachers, that they didn't know about it, but I was really shy about talk about that problem of mine with the mental health. And, and talking about mental health, it's not some easy topic, but to having like teachers or the school in general, doing that first step about, talking about mental health, about what it's important to talk if you have a problem or to speak up. If the school does that first step, then a lot of students will have the courage to also, to speak up. So I think that's, also, important, like, just like I say, like in general, to talk about mental health. If the school or the teachers can do that first step,
right,
that will be awesome.
Because the sleep deprivation and the fatigue and tiredness is not only because you wake up early in the morning. There's the stress of the day, right?
Yes.
Crossing a busy border, it's the busiest border in the world in terms of crossings.
Yes.
And then you have your whole day at school, and then you're getting home from school much later than most students.
Yes.
Because you've got to do that whole trip in reverse. And maybe the border crossing part is shorter going into Mexico, but sometimes there's even a walking line there. But then you've got the trolley and the bus, two buses and two trolleys to get back home. So you must have gotten home, dinner time.
Yeah. So after school I would stay, with Miss JJ like an hour and a half. So I will like leave school like at 4:30 or 5 p.m.
Right.
Then I will took the bus, and doing all the routine
Yep.
backwards. So I will arrive home like, I think like 6 or 7 p.m. at home, and that is because from the border to my home. So we have the freeway. We have a freeway, and sometimes the freeway there was a lot of traffic. But because not only students are the ones returning, they're also like the workers.
Yep.
So there was like a lot of traffic. So yeah, so most of the time I will arrive at home like at 6 or 7 p.m.
And then you just eat some dinner and maybe do a little
Have
homework, and
some
you got to
dinner,
go to bed.
have some dinner, take a shower, and depending on how I felt, I will, try to do some part of my homework. Or if I really, really felt so tired, then I will like go straight to my bed.
Right.
And wake up.
For
another, for a new day.
So the weekends must have been nice for you, though.
Yes, it was like paradise.
Paradise. But then Sunday you got to start getting ready for Monday.
Yeah. So I have, like Fridays and Saturdays to wake up late if I wanted to. Yeah, because I mean, for me, with the situation with sleep, it's like on Mondays, Mondays you start your week at school. I felt fresh and everything. I have like my cups of coffee, and I mean, from Monday to Thursday, I felt good. Like I didn't feel like that tiredness. But then when Friday comes up, all that sleep or that tiredness accumulated, and in Friday it's when I feel like so sleepy. Like there were times that I was like in the table, resting my my arm, and then my head in my arm, and sometimes we could watching like maybe a documentary or a video related to the class, and I would like try to pay attention to the video or anything that was projected. And sometimes my eyes will start like closing, and I was like, no. And my mom was like, no, Stephanie, wake up. But no, but yeah, like on Fridays is when I kind of like try to like battle with my, with my tiredness, because that was like, at the end of the week, at the end of the week, all of my tiredness was like accumulated. So there were like times that I had to fight back that desire to sleep in class.
Wow. I was wondering if you could tell us about after high school. So I'm tired even just thinking about hearing you talk about getting up so early to go to high school. You graduate from high school. What happened next? I think I recall you went to community college and then on to San Diego State. Can you walk us through that and what you eventually ended up? You have your 2 bachelor's degrees, and if you could tell us why you chose what you chose to study.
Yeah. So as I mentioned early in the podcast, the situation with the teachers, having this like language barriers between with students who are English learners with the teachers, that kind of like motivates me, or those situations kind of like make me to choose a career in education. I mean, to be a teacher. Now with the English, so I major in English and Spanish, but at first I was going to only major in English. And the reason why I choose English was because English, it's all about, writing and reading and, learning about literature and all those kind of aspects about the language and literature. And since I was a young age, I always have that passion about books and or creating your own stories. And in high school, I have wonderful English teachers. I had Mr. Armijo for my sophomore, because I had to take a sophomore class, even though I was in junior level.
So you moved from ninth grade to 10th grade pretty quickly. Ninth to 11th and some 10th.
Yeah, so I was in like 11th grade, but I had to do like some classes from the sophomore level.
Right.
But I was still as a junior.
Right.
But yeah, so Mr. Armijo was my sophomore English teacher. And in his class, his English class was amazing. I really love it because he added a lot of diversity in his lesson planning. Like, we read books from other authors outside of the United States. We have these blocks or units where we can explore our skills or creative writing skills. Like, we can, create our own stories and everything. And so, and those, those kind of aspects about, creative writing and having and get to know like a lot of authors outside the United States, that was like those like aspects that inspired me to become an English teacher. And so besides Mr. Armijo, I also have Mr. Siegel, which was my junior and senior English teacher. And what I really like about him and his class was like he was really open to diversity, and he was also open to learn about us and about identities. Like, I remember like he will like ask us about about our hometowns, about our home countries. Like he was really, really interesting, to learn about us, to learn about our identities, our cultures. And he also was like willing to learn about our languages too. So that really also was another thing that I really appreciated about him. And also the way that he teaches English, because with him we learn about American literature. And the way that he taught us those books, it was also really, really interesting. So he makes his knowledge about American literature, but sometimes he will add a bit of us. Like, he will add like maybe some activities or assignments that has to do with our identity of our culture. So so those aspects from my English teachers, they really like inspire me to also become an English teacher. So we have like my inspiration, having been inspired by them, and then my passion for reading and writing, and then having this issue about the language barrier. Those 3 points or those 3 aspects, those were like the aspects that pushed me to major in English. So so that was like my initial journey, or my initial major, I would say, English. And so about the process about enrolling in a university or college. So I didn't know nothing. I didn't know nothing about the process. I didn't know what a community college was, because though that doesn't exist in Mexico.
That's not a thing, huh?
That's not a thing in Mexico. Like, after you graduate high school, you go straight to the university if you can pass the exam, because to get admitted to university in Mexico, you had to pass an exam. And sometimes it can be hard for that. But here you have the opportunity to go to community college. But I didn't know what was that until my counselor and my history teacher, which was also another person who helped us during this process to enrolling, and also teaching us about finances and everything. They explained to me about what community college was. And they told me, like, community college is something similar to a 4-year school, which is like an university, but it is more cheaper. And I mean it's kind of different. Like the life in community college is a bit different from university, but I mean it's kind of. I mean, they told me it's kind of the same thing, but at the same time it's not. There's some aspects that are kind of different, but I mean, but like going to community college is like going to a 4-year school. And they also they shared to me about the transfer process.
Right.
Like, you go to community college, you talk with counselors there, you tell them like you want to study English, like you tell them about your career goals and everything. Right. And they will tell you like what courses you have to take, or if you have like a university in mind to transfer, they will talk to you about the transfer process, what kind of courses or how many credits you have to earn to be able to transfer. And so at first, I have the help of my high school counselor and my history teacher helping me into the the process of enrollment to community college. And then my counselors at my community college, they were the ones who helped me during those 2 years of being there in community college. And so they were really helpful. I'm still grateful for that, because I'm a first generation student. And so I mean, as I mentioned, I didn't know nothing about the enrollment process, and in this process to graduate in high school to go into college. I didn't know a thing about it, and my parents also didn't know.
Sure.
And they didn't know about that process. My dad, he studied here in the U.S. until from elementary school to high school, but for some circumstances, he wasn't able to, continue higher education in university. So he didn't know about, how to help me through this enrollment process. So, but gladly, I had my counselors helping me in this process, which like I said again, I'm really grateful, and I'm still grateful for that, because I know like this process, about enrollment or getting financial aid can be really intimidating for people who has, parents or family members that went to a higher education.
Yeah.
So imagine how intimidating it will be for first generation students. So counselors are amazing. Just an advice, if you have, questions, if you need guidance, don't hesitate. Don't hesitate. Exactly. Don't hesitate to ask them, because they are there to help you and everything. And so I was able to enroll to Mesa College, because that was near Kearney High School. I enrolled to Mesa College. Then I talked to my counselors there, and they, we talked. They asked me about my career goals, and I told them that I want to become an English teacher. I told them that I want to major in English and to become a high school teacher. And so, okay, so because that's your career goal, that's what you want to do, we suggested you took, these classes. We create like this academic plan, and then they suggest me to go to SDSU, because I didn't know where.
Right, you didn't know where to go after.
Yeah,
where
to
college.
Go exactly. I didn't know where to go, and my counselor, which his name was Chris Koch, he's in Mesa College. He was the one who was my counselor that helped me during my 2 years in community college. That he was the one who suggested me to go to SDSU, and he told me, SDSU, it's perfect for you because they have this credential program, and it's really good. And all the students that wants to become a teacher, they go there. I mean, they really have, he's still repeating me about the program and everything. And I was like, okay, I will go to SDSU. And so that was that was the plan during the 2 years in community college. after the 2 years, I was able to transfer to SDSU. I was so happy when I did that because, it was like, for my family in Mexico, SDSU was like, the university.
Yeah, sure.
The university. I mean, college. I mean, yeah. I mean, they didn't understand well about the concept of community college.
Right.
For them, it was like also like, I mean, it's like they did. I mean, I'm not trying to say that they didn't see it as like actual university, but it was kind of confusing about that. About what is a community college? Why are you transferring all that? So so now when I transfer to SDSU, they see it now is like as the university.
You're in the big time.
As the big, yeah. Now it was like a big thing, like a huge deal for them. Wow. Now Stephanie is like,
you're an Aztec.
Yeah. Now it's an Aztec and everything. And yeah. So yeah, it was 2020 when I transferred.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Not great timing.
No, it wasn't a great time. And I mean, it was a bittersweet feeling when I get to transfer to SDSU because I was really happy about this achievement to transfer. But at the same time, I couldn't go in person. Like, I wasn't able to meet the campus, and I didn't go through orientation as now students can go, meeting the campus, meeting to other students, maybe school staff, or even going to those open house events that they always organize each year. I couldn't have that, moment. And that was a bit tough for me because those, like, because I wanted to share those, like, moments with my dad because he's, my dad's the only one who can cross the border. And
oh, your mom and brother are unable to cross, so they couldn't be there at your graduation.
Oh, well.
Oh, okay. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, I'll go. I will talk about that later because that's a really, really, really important event that happened. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I remember there was like this SDSU organized an open house event, just for like students and their family members could come, and I wanted to invite my dad, because I mean, for my dad it's a really like a pride moment for him, because he couldn't go to university, and now that he can see their kids having the opportunity to come, I know that was like a really huge moment for him, and I mean also a huge moment for me. So I really wanted to invite him for any event that SDSU was doing, but because of the pandemic, they will have to to cancel everything. So during my first year at SDSU, everything was online. It was virtual. And
at least you didn't have to wake up so early in the morning, right?
Yeah. I mean, even though the pandemic was like a hard time for me, and I know for a lot of people, millions of people, that was like a perk, an advantage of doing virtual classes, that now I have like this opportunity to wake up more late,
right,
and everything. So I mean that was good, but at the same time, to be in my room the whole day was also really overwhelming, because sometimes I miss to be outside.
Sure.
In my routine, even though it's so tired to do that routine, but sometimes I did miss that because I miss to be outside, to see people's faces, or being able to be in a trolley. But because of that moment at that time, you can do nothing like that. You couldn't have like contact with other people because you were like afraid to be to have like the virus and everything. So I mean, there were advantages and disadvantages during the pandemic, and I will say in my case there were more disadvantages than advantages, just for personal reasons. But I mean, it was a really like it was a bit difficult first year at SDSU, But I was really, really happy when the following year we were able to return on campus. And during that time, during the pandemic, when I was like doing those virtual classes and everything, I started to have doubts about my career choices, and so I started to feel unmotivated actually to be a teacher or to be in an English major because I feel like the pandemic was affecting me mentally too, and for not having like that stable mindset that also impacts my encouragement or my own motivation to continue on an English major. I started to feel the imposter syndrome. Like, I was like, I don't think I will be a good English teacher, or no, I don't think I will be good because my English is not good. My comprehension is not good. I was feeling kind of lost in that aspect. And so because of that and other reasons is when I started to think about, should I drop out? Should I change majors maybe? So during that, time of reflection, when I was like trying to think about my future and everything, that's when I started thinking, well, I can pursue a major in Spanish, because Spanish is my native language, and it's where I feel more comfortable, to speak about or to and everything. I was like, I should research or ask about what is necessary to go in to pursue a career in Spanish without dropping out.
Without stopping the English.
Yeah, because I was so ahead. Like I was almost like a year to done with the English, to be done with my English major, because for my English major I did like 4 years of that. I was halfway through, and to drop, to drop all that, to drop all that, knowing that everything I've been through, like, doing all this routine and then dropping all that, it's like, no.
Right.
No. Unacceptable. So I said, I'm gonna keep my English major, but now I will be declaring another major, which is Spanish, just to have options for my future. Like, if I don't want to, pursue a career in teaching or education, maybe I could find another job or work field where they require someone that can speak Spanish,
right,
or English. But those doubts and those unmotivation actually got away when I started to school again in person.
Right.
Because to meet with my professors, to meet with other students who also are pursuing the same career as you, as become a teacher, that actually, resurrect or my motivation to be a teacher again. Like, having conversations with my professors about this amazing job, about being a teacher, to speak with my advisor, my career advisor, which is Dr. Claire Colquitt. Shout out to her, because she also was a great support for me during my SDSU years. They told me I have this amazing and so deep conversations with them that fools me, and that wakes again that motivation to become a teacher. So now, now that I started SDSU now in campus, that to be in campus again, that puts me back on this, put me back on track about being a teacher. So yeah, I'm still wanting to become a teacher, or maybe a professor now, because I do wanted to pursue a master's degree maybe in the future. But now, after the pandemic, I'm on campus. Now I have two majors that I have to complete. And so yeah, so I mean, after that, after all those moments where I was doubting about my capabilities to be in the English major, they went away, and
then you graduated.
And I graduated, yeah.
So what's the story about graduation? Because you told me you were gonna say it was important.
Yeah. So about graduation. So yeah. So it was supposed that I was going to graduate on 22, but because I declared another major, I have to do a year. For the Spanish major, I have to complete a year only. So that was easy. So pretty much, I would say, like, for my college years, I did like 5 years of college.
Right.
Okay, so yeah. So that, that's a good fact and everything. About graduation. So during my college years, there was always this thought that I was having on mind, which was my mom wasn't going to be able to come to my graduation ceremony. She couldn't come to my high school ceremony, which, I mean, it was a bit sad. It was bittersweet because my dad was able to come, but my mom, who was someone who always supported me, and she's the one that always brings me to the water and everything. She couldn't come, in high school. But for college, it was so unexpected but so in SDSU there was, or I think there's still, a organization for students who cross the border, and I know that organization was created by a former student from SDSU. Her name is Maria Alarcon, Dr. Maria Alarcon. I think now she's working at the Imperial Valley campus.
Of San Diego State in Imperial Valley.
Yeah, Imperial Valley. And I didn't knew about this organization because there was no exposure at campus about it. There was like not too much information or advertisement from that. But Dr. Alarcon, she had this idea of organizing a trans-border graduation ceremony. And that idea was, like I say, she has the idea to have this trans-border graduation ceremony. And some of the faculty members from SDSU, those who are from the dual language department, and from the international students faculty, they did like the idea, and so some of those faculty members with Dr. Maria Alarcon, they organized the first trans-border graduation ceremony. So I remember when I knew about it, I remember we have this newsletter, and in my department, in my English and Spanish department, they have like these newsletters. They have like someone sharing like news and important events and everything. And I remember like the person who was in charge of that, he sent this image or pamphlet, electronic pamphlet, that the school was organizing the first trans-border graduation ceremony. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And
that was in your last year of college?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'm sorry. Sometimes I get so emotional about it.
No, that's completely understandable.
Yeah. And so, I mean, sorry. Sometimes I get so embarrassed about it to cry about. But
wait, hold on one second. I'm going to pause.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'm ready. So this person who is in charge of sending the newsletter to students from the Department of English and Spanish, he sent this like virtual pamphlet that was announcing about this transfer graduation ceremony. They were doing this ceremony in Tijuana in the auditorium from one of the universities there in Tijuana, which was UABC or
Okay.
UABC,
Mm-hmm.
which is some of the most important universities at Tijuana. And so, I remember in the pamphlet it says that what is it? It says something about don't let your family members or we're not gonna let your something along those lines, like they're like we want your family members who are unable to cross the border to be in this important moment for you. So that's where we're doing this ceremony. And when I read that, I was like, oh my God. I was like, I was speechless, but I was so happy when I saw that announcement. And I remember that I was getting ready to go to school, to go to SDSU. And I remember after I went out of my bedroom, and my mom was in the living room, and I told her, hey mom, guess what, right now someone in the college and my department, they give this announcement about they will do a trans-border graduation ceremony here in Tijuana for those who are graduating. And when I told her that, she started to cry. Like, she was like, oh my God, really? And then she suddenly starts to cry. And I was there like standing, and
So then you started to cry too.
and I started to cry. I was trying to hold, I was fighting back my tears. But, to see my mom like crying, it makes me like also emotional. And I remember my mom, after after she tried to, calm down and everything, she told me, Stephanie, I didn't want to tell you this because I didn't want to feel you bad, but that I had the thought that I wasn't going to be able to be in your graduation ceremony for this this huge step in your life about graduating to in a university. That makes me feel so bad and so sad. And I told her, mom, I also thought that the same way, I also feel I felt sad too to think about it. Like, you wouldn't be able, not you and my brother wouldn't be able to be in my graduation ceremony. But now we have this amazing opportunity, and we were so happy. We were so happy the whole day to think about, and yeah. And I remember I told my dad too. They were doing this ceremony, and also my dad was got emotional too, and everything. He got emotional for my mom and for my brother and everything. So I mean, we were so happy for that. We were really, really happy. And and so after that, after we have to register, to participate in the ceremony, because there were limited space.
Right, because of COVID and limited space and
was not really for COVID.
The size of the place.
It was for the
right?
size of the place. So it was there was a limited space. And so after I registered and they told me yeah, you have a seat and everything, we have this there was an info session with the committee, with the faculty members that were organizing the ceremony here in Tijuana. And some of those members who were on the info session was Dr. Christine Alfaro and Miriam Castañon, which were the ones who were in charge of organizing the event. And I mean, we were all the students. We were in the info session and everything. We were like talking about, about what to wear or when rehearsal will be and everything. And I remember that Dr. Alfaro, I think it was her who shared this, but she told us that she was she was really happy about this moment because it was the first time in SDSU history. And I mean, it was also a huge thing, because I mean, it's a transborder graduation ceremony. Like the concept is like,
it's new.
It's new, and I remember that I think it was Dr. Alfaro who told us this, but she said that there were a lot of high school students that came to her, that they heard about this announcement about the ceremony. And those students came to her and asked her if they can also graduate too.
Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. Say that again. I'm going to put something by the door.
So some of those high school students asked her if they can also have a place in the ceremony, because they also, in the same situation as me, there are students that have family members, maybe they have a parent that cannot cross the border. So so those students, came and asked Dr. Alfaro if they, can participate too, but sadly, Dr. Alfaro said that they couldn't, even though she wanted to, but because their priority was for SDS students.
Right.
But in the same session, she said, that because of those students that came to talk with me, I think we're gonna, start to speak with the border, with the education
school
boards, exactly. They will talk, to persuade them to also organize this type of ceremonies, because there's a lot of students who wants to share this special moment with their family, but they can't.
Yeah, it's I know now. I think Southwestern College for the first time, I think this year, did a graduation in Tijuana as well.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's starting to catch on. I think maybe they used San Diego State as their example.
Yeah, because before San Diego State, I didn't hear about any other school or college that also organized the same thing. But with what Dr. Alfaro said about, like, they're gonna try to persuade or talk with the school boards to also try to organize this type of ceremonies in Tijuana and everything. That kind of makes me feel like more like hopeful for all transfer students, because I mean, maybe for some people, maybe it could be like just like an ordinary ceremony, but for us who are transborder students, it means a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then you had two graduations.
I had two graduations. I had I had mine in Tijuana and the commencement in Viejas Arena.
So your dad got to go to both.
Yeah, my dad he was privileged to go to both. But after the transborder ceremony, it was beautiful. The ceremony, we have the the normal procedures, that to receive, or like kind of like a symbolic diploma,
right.
and then when you move your tassel and everything,
you flip it to the other side.
Exactly, we have all that, and then after the ceremony, they hire like a band, to play live and everything. They have like a lunch where they have like snacks and have cake, and they have like food and everything. It was like a really nice celebration, and thanks to that ceremony, I felt like I didn't feel sad actually, because just now. Sorry. Um, I'm going to repeat that again.
Yeah.
Thanks to that ceremony, to the transfer ceremony, feel more. I feel more at peace with myself, because my mom could be part of that moment, a special moment for me, just to graduate from university. And also my mom says the thing. My mom also said the same thing. She said, now I feel more happy. I feel more at peace with myself that I was with you in this huge achievement and everything. So yeah. So I mean
And your brother too.
and my brother too also was so happy too. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, actually, I was so happy to see my whole family together. When I was walking on stage, and to be able to see them, sitting together and everything, it was so happy. It was a really happy moment for me. And yeah, and then 2 weeks later, I think that's when I have my commencement ceremony, and you know, and my mom could watch it on YouTube, because
Right.
they
streamed it.
They stream it and everything, but
And it's not the same as being there. So
yeah,
luckily, she really got that opportunity.
but she got that experience, had that opportunity, and yeah, and actually I remember that during the transfer ceremony, me and my dad got interviewed, just to share about how we feel about this moment, about the transfer ceremony. And I remember, like, one of our thoughts that we share is that we hope, like, as you continue with this tradition, to to organize transfer graduations every year, and that we hope to also, like, also other colleges and schools,
and high schools,
follow,
right?
high schools or middle schools or elementary schools,
Right.
follow up that tradition too.
Well, I'm definitely made notes here for Albert Einstein Academies because we do a really nice promotion ceremony for our 5th graders and our 8th graders, and then we'll have graduation for 12th graders when we have our high school. But that's definitely a great idea, and one that can honor families that otherwise couldn't be there.
Yeah, and I think and I know that families will appreciate that schools have in mind this transfer students that have this situation about having, like, a parent or a family member that can cross the border. So yeah, I mean, students, families, everyone will feel so appreciative if schools also follow up with that idea of having transfer graduation ceremonies.
Well, Stephanie, I really appreciated our time today, and I'm really honored and thankful that you took some time in your day to come and join us for this conversation. Is there anything that you'd like to add before we wrap up for today that we didn't talk about, that you feel is something that you just wanted to say? Anything about your life experience, anything about transborder students, and anything else?
Well, maybe an advice or something that I would like to say to students, to transborder students, is that I know that the routine is hard. I know it can be sometimes tired, stressful and everything, but not because you have those obstacles or challenges, it means that you're unable to succeed in life. I believe that everyone, I mean, any transfer student are capable to to continue their education. I mean, the proof is with me. I loved school. I loved learning and everything. And I mean, there were times that I almost dropped the towel. I almost dropped out from college because of this routine that it's so stressful, so stressful, and so tired. It's really tired to do this, but I mean, but with the support of the people, of my family and my teachers from high school, from community college, from SDSU, that support, it really helped me to complete my education. Well, not complete because I'm still.
But you've done a lot of it. So.
But I did a lot. I mean, I did. But I was able to achieve the main goal, which was graduating from university. So so that's what I want to tell to transport students, that I mean, you can do it. Like, if you have someone that you think that will be able to support you, or if you know someone that that you think that they want to listen to you, that or anything, just talk to them. Or if there's moments that you feel lost and the process about maybe like transitioning from one level to another level, and you have, like those resources with you, you have people that are there, that have, they're there for to help you, just take it, don't hesitate. And yeah, I mean if I believe in all of you, and I know like you are going to be able to do amazing stuff in your life, maybe after school and everything. And also for teachers, if you have like students, transfer students, just to let you know that students will appreciate a lot your support. And there will just like maybe the minimum, it doesn't, if there's like those a minimum support, even though it is like a minimum or anything, those students, they will appreciate that minimum, and they will always remember, and they will always recognize that support. So that's like my advice for students and for teachers.
Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. You've been an inspiration to me. That's why I wanted to have you on. And after having read about you and after having spent this hour and a half with you, I'm even more inspired by your commitment and your story. And so I wish you all the best in the rest of your journey.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you for listening to the Superintendent's Hangout. You can follow me on Twitter at DVS1970. Please be sure to share this show with friends and family on social media and in the real world. Thank you to Brad Bacayal for editing and production assistance, and to Tina Royster for scheduling and logistics. Thanks for hanging out, and have a great day.